You know, blockchain forensics sounds pretty intense, but at the end of the day, it's about figuring out who's doing what with their crypto. Tools like chain analysis or ciphertrace are used to track transactions, map out patterns, and even connect addresses to real people. It's kind of like digital detective work. Now, someone sent me an email saying I didn't do a deep dive into forensic analysis and if I could make a video about what can be tracked and can't be tracked and so on. Now, rather than asking a forensics expert, I decided to investigate things my way. So what can these tools actually do? Well, first off, everything on the Bitcoin blockchain or any other blockchain is public. That means that every transaction from where the Bitcoin came from to where it's going is out there for anyone to see. These forensic tools just make it easier to connect the dots. For example, they can track the flow of Bitcoin as it moves through different wallets. Now, let's say you sent one BTC from your wallet to a friend's. Now that's recorded. If your friend splits it up and sends parts to two other wallets, those transactions are also visible. Now, over time, tools like Arkham Intelligence can map out who's sending what to whom. And then there's something called address clustering. Basically, if someone's using multiple addresses and shows patterns, like consolidating their funds into one wallet, these tools can figure out that all those addresses probably belong to the same person. Alternatively, you can look at projects on bubblemaps.io for instance, which will show you which wallet holds which portion of the tokens and if the wallets are interconnected to each other. Now here's where it gets even wilder. Forensic companies use information from exchanges or merchants to link wallet addresses to real identities. So if you bought something on a platform that knows who you are and use your wallet, your address could get tied back to you. Now, these tools aren't magic. If you're using privacy coins like Monero or Zcash, it's way harder to trace anything. Monero, for instance, hides the amounts to the sender and the recipient, even with all the fancy tools, and that's tough to crack. Services like Mixers or CoinJoin, which is a Bitcoin privacy technique that enhances anonymity by mixing transactions from multiple participants. By combining multiple payments into a single transaction, CoinJoin obscures the trail of who sent funds to whom. It's not a separate service or coin, but rather a way to structure Bitcoin transactions to improve privacy on an otherwise transparent blockchain. Now how it works is the following. Several Bitcoin users pool their transactions into a single coin join transaction. For example, 3 people might each want to send 1 BTC to 3 different recipients. The inputs, so the coins being spent, and outputs, so the recipients' addresses, are mixed in a single transaction. However, the amounts remain unchanged. Each person still sends exactly 1 BTC. Because all the inputs and outputs are bundled together, it's difficult to determine which output belongs to which input. An outside observer can't easily link senders and receivers. Now some popular wallets and services that support CoinJoin are Wasabi Wallet, Samurai Wallet and Join Market, which is a decentralized CoinJoin implementation that allows users to create or participate in mixes. And then there's the Lightning Network. It's a second layer on top of Bitcoin that allows off-chain transactions. While the starting and ending points might show up on the blockchain, everything in between is basically invisible. And before we go to the rest of this video, I need you to keep in mind that I'm not a registered financial advisor. My videos are meant to be educational and entertaining only. Always do your own research and only invest money you're willing to lose, because even though you can gain a lot in crypto, you will most likely lose it all. Now if you do gain a lot, it's important to stay safe. I've put links in the description to VPNs and hardware wallets to keep your crypto and activities secure, so be sure to check those out. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Telegram because I share my alpha there much quicker than I do on this channel. If you're trying to fly under the radar, there are some practical steps you can take. Let's start with the basics. First is don't reuse addresses. This is like giving out the same house key to everyone. Anyone who sees that address can trace all of its transactions. Use a new address for each transaction instead. The next one might not be as obvious to everyone, but it's to keep quiet about your wallet. Seriously, don't post screenshots of your QR code online, even if it's for something as innocent as asking for donations. That's basically inviting people to track you. Not only that, it's very dangerous. A while ago there was this news article in France. On New Year's Eve, a new story of kidnapping with a demand for ransom in crypto took place. To target an influencer living in Dubai, the criminals did not hesitate to kidnap his father, beat him up and throw gasoline over him. We all know influencers of this kind who are swarming on social networks. Lavish lifestyles, beautiful cars and wads of cash. Enough to attract jealousy. They contacted the son after the kidnap to extort money from him. He notified the cops right away and they were able to free his sister and mother before finding his father 500 kilometers away from the crime scene. So it's situations like these that really showcase how important being discreet is. Now another thing to be careful with are DEXs. Decentralized exchanges are great because they don't ask for personal info, but forensic tools can still see when you send funds to a DEX. And while they can't always see which trades you're making inside of the DEX, they can sometimes figure out patterns by looking at dates and timestamps. And you know how you can label addresses in hot wallets like Ledger or Trezor? Just don't stress too much about it, right? Because the labels those have are only stored locally and they're not on the blockchain. So unless someone physically gets a hold of your wallet, those labels are safe and cannot be read by thieves or law enforcement. Now let's look at a case study to bring this all together, right? Alice, a small business owner who accepts Bitcoin as payment in her online store, recently stumbled upon the topic of blockchain forensics. Initially, she thought Bitcoin was completely private, because after all, it doesn't use real names or personal information. But after learning about tools like chain analysis and Arkham intelligence, she began to understand how much can actually be uncovered on the blockchain. Curious and a little worried, Alice decided to dive deeper into the subject to figure out how exposed she really was and what she should do to protect her privacy. Now through her research, Alice discovered that blockchain forensic tools are incredibly advanced. They can trace every single transaction on the network from where funds originate to where they are sent. If someone uses multiple wallet addresses but combines their funds into one, these tools can group those addresses together and assume they're controlled by the same person. For example, if Alice reused the same Bitcoin address for every payments her customers made, forensic software could map out her entire revenue stream and even pinpoint how much Bitcoin she holds in her wallet. This realization hit hard because her customers or anyone else tracking her could see her store's financials with a few clicks. It was unsettling to say the least. But it wasn't all bad news, right? Because Alice found out that there are limits to what these forensic tools can track. Bitcoin transactions are visible to everyone, but certain techniques can obscure the trail. For instance, privacy coins like Monero and Zcash use advanced cryptography to hide transaction details. Monero, for example, makes it impossible to see who sent funds, who received them, or even how much was sent. However, Alice wanted to stick with Bitcoin because that's what most of her customers used. So she started looking into tools and techniques that could improve Bitcoin's privacy. One of the first things Alice did was stop reusing wallet addresses. She learned that generating a new address for each transaction made it harder for anyone to connect her payments to a single wallet. She then discovered CoinJoin, a process that combines multiple transactions into one big transaction, effectively mixing everyone's Bitcoin together. By using a wallet like Wasabi, which has CoinJoin built right in, Alice could take all the payments she received, mix them with other people's coins and then send them to a new wallet. Now once mixed, it became nearly impossible to trace the original payments back to her customers. It felt like a game changer. But still, Alice wondered about decentralized exchanges or DEXs too. What if she wanted to swap her Bitcoin for other cryptocurrencies? Now would forensic tools be able to track that? She found out that transactions to and from DEXs are visible on the blockchain. What happens inside the DEX isn't always clear. For example, if she sent Bitcoin to a DEX and swapped it for Ethereum, a forensic tool could see the deposit and withdrawal but might not easily connect the two. However, if Alice wasn't careful and reused addresses or made obvious patterns in her transactions, the link could still be uncovered. One question Alice couldn't shake was about hardware wallets. She used one for extra security, and it allowed her to label different wallet addresses to keep track of what they were for. Were those labels visible to forensic tools or hackers? The good news was that the labels were stored locally on her device, so they weren't on the blockchain. As long as her wallet stayed secure, those labels wouldn't be exposed. Now by the end of her deep dive, Alice felt a lot more confident about her privacy. She started using CoinJoin regularly and made sure to always generate new addresses for transactions. She also began educating her customers about these privacy tools, realizing that many of them didn't understand how exposed they might be either. Now Alice's journey into the world of blockchain forensics not only helped her protect her business, but also gave her a new appreciation for the balance between transparency and privacy in the cryptocurrency world. Now the biggest takeaway for Alice, Bitcoin isn't inherently private, but with the right tools and techniques, you can regain control of your financial privacy. And in today's world, that's something worth fighting for. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Doei!